One of the biggest hurdle in cybersecurity risk assessment is not technology. It's people. And I have two items to talk to you today. One is how we got here and how we're going to get out of it. Check this out. People seems to be the key challenge for technical individuals to get risk assessments done, even initiated. So, how we got here, let's talk about that one first. Colleges and certifications definitely failed you because people is not part of the process. Is there's this underlying assumption that, hey, I just need to identify the assets, scan them, do some sort of risk calibration, and print out a report, and we all happy about it. Doesn't go that way. If you ever spend a day in a corporate environment, you will find out that you need to make sure that the resources on the other end are prepared, make sure they accept the engagement and when is going to be a good time to provide. They have to provide information for you about the solutions that you're assessing, underlying architecture, and all that prep work, and including a kickoff meeting, perhaps a discovery meeting to try to understand, establish the scope of your assessment. So there's a lot that needs to happen with that involve people and not even touching tools yet. Definitely colleges and certifications fails there because those are niche and function exclusive type of learning environments. Now, although college might touch in other areas, but not necessarily tie the theory, the book knowledge to actual practice. And certification only address the practice. So combining is moving from that academic environment to a corporate environment, or from that certification that you just got, study hard, cracked those books, and went down and took the test and got certified. Also, don't prepare you to deal with the corporate politics and how you assess that. So that's definitely failure. So the communication and how you present these assessments are not covered anywhere. Now, granted, college, you prepare to communicate, you present, but not that often is basically driven by tests and assessments. And when you have that presentation, take a inventory back. When you have that presentation, you have that group presentation, and you have to present in front of the class. How did you feel at that moment? It's something that makes you feel uncomfortable. And guess what? In a corporate environment, you carry that with you because you haven't practiced. You're always uncomfortable with something that you don't feel confident with. And that's when everything is starting. If you don't get the people on board, you're not even going to get that assessment kicked off. So definitely is one of the keys that I hear the most in comments and questions that people ask me, how you get around that. That brings me to point number two. There are several ways to get around it. So one is what we call informational influence. So you have the information that you can influence other people to do the task that you want to do. How you present that, how you tell that story matters. And that's where you need some moments of being uncomfortable, if you will, to get that done. What I suggest, what I've been suggesting, if you haven't listened to me in any time, is mission-based approach. So now let me take you why I mention mission-based versus risk-based. The reason is, and I'm going to give you an example. You have two systems. One is a mission-based critical system that have impact on corporate mission objectives. The other one is highly important for your internal work. Let's pick up your accounting systems that do payroll. Both have the same vulnerability. The vulnerability is exploitable. The vulnerability is critical. Which one you patch first? So if you do from a criticality perspective, they all both number ones. They all share the same characteristics: vulnerable, exploitable, high, critical, what have you. And both of them sit in the same level of internal network, have the same layers of protection. But that's when being a mission base matters. Let's say the accounting system goes down. One, it did not impact, at least directly. You can always argue the other way around. The mission, the corporate objective, the services and products that you provide to your customer and shareholders. And probably it won't end up on the 6 o'clock news. It won't have perhaps a regulatory impact. But that mission based one that we just discussed, if that goes down, all of a sudden your customer will feel it. You're going to have a hit on your reputation and on delivering the corporate objective. So now, and this is what I call a mission based approach versus a risk based approach. And that slight nuance matters. And then you prioritize that. So having a mission based principle focus on your influential with your stakeholders, why it matters, that assessment, why it matters for you to identify any weaknesses in the system. If you're following the standard, whatever your assessment you're doing, his risk-based or controls assessment, you will understand you tie to the mission, which every leader in your organization trying to deliver on. Now you have significance. That's one way. The other way you can do is you run a pilot. You engage the individuals or run a pilot on a parallel system, on another system, just to demonstrate, right? So when you run a pilot, you ask for the same leader, look, I'm going to run this assessment, and you explain the mission-based principle and any findings for this pilot only, any findings that I have in here, you will not be required to fix, at least right away, because, and you're not going to be any reports to leadership in it because you want to, that comes the political, internal political maneuvers. And you're not going to show in any report and whatnot, but you want to test your methodology and you get that. You gain that experience. The other one is show other results. And you did an assessment on a different solution, different application. You show, look, here is what we discover in our assessments, in that we weren't trying to do yours, since your solution has an impact on corporate objectives. So once again, that informational influence along the way. Lastly, you can quantify to them. Once again, mapping to that mission and quantify, look, I'm going to need X amount of days, X amount of resources. Most likely I will have a questionnaire or two, a couple of meetings, and most of the assessment will be done on my part. After that, we'll be writing the report and report out to your leadership as well. So different ways to tackle the people situation, the people challenge on your assessment. And once again, we got here the way we got here, but there's ways around that you can use your technical knowledge, a little bit of creativity, and addressing and mapping to a mission-based risk assessment, mission-based principle will take you a long way.